Deep in the jungles, across frozen lakes, and under ancient tombs, explorers have vanished without a trace. Some met their end in ways science can't explain. Creatures, curses, and shadows no one dares to name. Tonight, we'll uncover 15 real expeditions that ended in terror, from the least chilling to the one that still haunts investigators today. Stay until the end, because the final case might just change the way you see what's out there. Number 15. In the mid-19th century, German explorer Ludwig Leichhardt set out to cross one of the most remote and unforgiving regions of Australia. His goal was simple: to map an uncharted route to the western coast. But after leaving the small settlement of McPherson, Leichhardt, his 7 men, and dozens of animals disappeared into the desert. Months later, search parties discovered abandoned camps, broken instruments, and pieces of leather equipment scattered across hundreds of miles. It looked as if something had chased them, or forced them to flee in panic. Local Aboriginal stories spoke of a dark wanderer that roamed the dunes at night, a creature that punished those who trespassed into forbidden lands. Some historians believe the team perished from thirst or starvation, but the strange pattern of their lost belongings and the absence of any human remains left investigators deeply unsettled. To this day, Leichhardt's expedition has never been found. His name is still whispered in the Australian outback, a symbol of how easily men can vanish when the desert decides to keep its secrets. Number 14. In 1925, British explorer Percy Fawcett ventured deep into the Amazon rainforest with his son Jack and a small team. They were searching for what Fawcett called the lost city of Z, a place he believed held proof of an ancient civilization far older than any known in the Americas. Weeks after entering the jungle, all communication ceased. Months later, rescue expeditions found fragments of camps, tools, and scattered bones, but no trace of Fawcett himself. Some local tribes claimed they had seen glowing eyes in the forest the night he vanished. Others spoke of massive footprints left near the expedition's final camp. Over the decades, dozens of explorers who tried to find him also disappeared. Was it disease, hostile tribes, or something else that guarded the secrets of the Amazon? Nearly a century later, Fawcett's fate remains one of exploration's darkest mysteries. A man swallowed whole by the jungle he refused to fear. Number 13. In 1913, celebrated writer and adventurer Ambrose Bierce crossed into northern Mexico at the height of the Revolution, and was never seen again. He told friends he wanted to witness how men die in war, but what happened next remains unsolved. Some reports claimed he joined Pancho Villa's army and vanished during battle. Others said he wandered into the desert alone, chasing stories of a cursed valley. Locals later spoke of a stranger who appeared at night near abandoned villages, writing symbols in the sand before disappearing at dawn. When searchers retraced his last route, they found a burned journal and boot prints that ended abruptly, as if he'd stepped into thin air. To this day, no body, no weapon, and no trace of Ambrose Bierce has ever been found. His final letters ended with a single line: "As to me, I leave here tomorrow for an unknown destination." Number 12. In 2009, a group of teenagers exploring a rocky stream near Cerro Azul, Panama, stumbled upon something crawling out of a cave. At first, they thought it was a hairless animal, pale, swollen, and moving slowly across the mud. When the creature turned toward them, the boys screamed and threw rocks until it stopped moving. They took photos, and by the next morning, the images were everywhere. A body unlike anything anyone had seen before. Its skin looked human, but its proportions were distorted. Some claimed it was a new species. Others said it was something that should have stayed hidden underground. Officials later concluded it was just a decomposed sloth. But zoologists pointed out inconsistencies: the shape of the hands, the smoothness of the skin, the lack of decomposition expected in that climate. To this day, no one can agree on what the teens really found that afternoon, a rotting animal, or something that should never have been above ground. Number 11. In 1932, British naturalist Ivan T. Sanderson was deep in the jungles of Cameroon on a zoological expedition. He was collecting bats near a river when he and his team were suddenly attacked by a massive winged creature. Sanderson described it as a dark, leathery figure with a wingspan over 12 feet and a face that looked disturbingly human. It swooped down from the canopy, striking the water with a sound like tearing fabric. Locals called it the Olitio, a giant bat that haunted caves no man should enter. Sanderson survived, but he was shaken for life, later writing that the air itself felt wrong that night. Modern researchers dismiss it as a misidentified bird or bat, yet his account remains one of the few first-hand reports of a living pterosaur. Even now, pilots flying over that same jungle report shadows passing beneath their planes, long, silent, and far too large to belong to anything known. Number 10. In November 1961, young explorer Michael Rockefeller, son of one of America's most powerful families, vanished off the coast of Papua New Guinea. His boat had capsized while collecting art from isolated tribes. After swimming toward shore to find help, he was never seen again. Search parties scoured miles of jungle and coastline, finding only his gasoline can and a piece of his raft. But in the years that followed, rumors began to spread, stories of a white spirit captured by the Asmat tribe and sacrificed deep within the mangroves. Missionaries who worked in the area claimed to have seen carvings and shields decorated with Rockefeller's features. Others insisted it wasn't the tribe that took him, but something older that lived in the swamps. Officially, his death was ruled an accident at sea. Unofficially, his story remains one of the most disturbing disappearances in modern exploration. A man swallowed whole by a land the world still doesn't fully understand. Number 9. In 2006, American explorer Paul Nation traveled to Papua New Guinea to investigate sightings of a creature locals called the Ropen, a massive glowing figure said to fly over the jungle at night. Armed with night vision cameras, he and his guide camped deep in the valley, where villagers claimed to see it most often. One night, strange lights appeared in the sky, pulsating orbs that hovered above the trees, moving against the wind. Moments later, Nation reported hearing a heavy wing beat and something large sweeping through the branches just beyond his flashlight beam. The footage he captured showed two glowing shapes vanishing behind the mountains. Scientists dismissed it as a trick of light, but the fear in his voice was unmistakable. Nation later said, "It wasn't a bird, it was watching us." Whether the Ropen is a living fossil or a legend born from the jungle's darkness, that night left even seasoned explorers questioning what really flies over Papua when the cameras stop rolling. Number 8. In 1845, British explorer Sir John Franklin led two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, into the icy waters of the Canadian Arctic. Their mission, to chart the last untraveled section of the Northwest Passage, but after entering the frozen strait, both vessels vanished. Years later, search parties found the ships locked in ice, decks abandoned, lifeboats missing, and journals ending abruptly mid-sentence. The few recovered bodies were frozen in positions of terror, some were missing flesh, and human bones showed knife marks. Survivors' notes hinted at something stalking them across the ice, a presence that watched from the fog. Inuit accounts told of strange lights and a black figure following the explorers before the final blizzard. Historians blamed starvation and scurvy, but others believed they encountered something older than man, awakened beneath the Arctic floor. Today, both ships have been found, yet the story behind their final days remains as cold and haunting as the sea that buried them. Number 7. In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers set up camp on the slopes of Russia's Kholat Syakhl, the Mountain of the Dead. What happened that night became one of the most chilling mysteries in modern history. Their tent was found torn open from the inside, footprints leading into the snow, barefoot, half-dressed, running into -30-degree temperatures. Days later, rescuers discovered their bodies scattered across the valley. Some had fractured skulls and broken ribs without external wounds, as if crushed by immense pressure. 2 were missing their eyes, and 1, her tongue. Radioactive traces were found on their clothes, and witnesses reported glowing orbs in the sky that same night. The Soviet investigation blamed an avalanche, but the evidence never fit. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident still stands as a brutal reminder that nature, or something hidden within it, doesn't forgive trespassers. Number 6. In the early 1900s, a French archaeologist named René Belloc joined a team excavating tombs deep within Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Their discovery, an unrecorded burial chamber sealed for over 3,000 years, was celebrated as a triumph of archaeology. But within days of opening the sarcophagus, strange events began. Equipment malfunctioned. Workers fell ill without explanation. Several members of the team died suddenly, one from fever, another in a mysterious accident. Locals warned that the tomb had been protected by an ancient curse, one said to destroy any who disturbed its guardian. Officially, the deaths were labeled coincidence. Yet journals recovered from the dig mention whispers in the sand and a figure seen standing near the tents at night, tall, silent, and watching. The artifacts were later lost in a museum fire, and with them, the names of everyone who had touched that tomb. Today, archaeologists still speak of the valley's curse, a reminder that some discoveries were never meant to be unearthed. Number 5. In 1924, British explorer John Loudon led a small expedition into the rainforests of Borneo. He was searching for new species of bats rumored to inhabit a vast network of limestone caves. According to his assistant, Loudon entered one of the caverns alone, carrying only a lantern and a notebook. Minutes later, the jungle echoed with screams. When rescuers reached the entrance, they saw the light moving erratically, then vanishing altogether. The search found only a torn satchel and claw marks on the rock. The local Dayak tribes refused to return, claiming the cave belonged to the orang pendek, a creature half man, half ape that drags intruders into the dark. Weeks later, an abandoned campsite was discovered miles away, with human bones arranged in a circle, as if part of a ritual. Loudon was never found. Some say he became one of the legends he went there to study. Another explorer claimed by the jungle's oldest secret. Number 4. In the winter of 1953, a team of Soviet scientists arrived at Lake Labankir, one of the deepest and most remote lakes in Siberia. Locals called it the Devil's Mouth, claiming something enormous lived beneath the ice. During a series of dives, one of the researchers failed to surface. His safety line snapped, and moments later, the others saw a dark shadow moving beneath them, almost the size of a submarine. When divers tried to recover the body, their equipment malfunctioned. The surviving reports described a violent surge of bubbles, then total silence. Soviet officials quickly classified the expedition's findings. Decades later, fragments of the team's logbook surfaced, describing a living presence at depths no machine could reach. Some say it was an undiscovered species, others, a relic from the Ice Age trapped beneath the frozen lake. Number 3. 1958, a classified Soviet expedition was sent to explore Lake Vostok, buried beneath 2 miles of Antarctic ice. The mission's goal was to reach a hidden body of water untouched for millions of years.
What is that?
I don't know, it's alive.
For weeks, radio transmissions reported steady progress. Then, suddenly, silence. When contact was finally re-established, a single message came through. "It's not water, it's alive." The team vanished soon after. Soviet records were sealed, and no remains were ever recovered. Later expeditions to the same site reported strange electromagnetic readings and unexplained vibrations coming from below the ice shelf. Scientists dismissed the story as Cold War paranoia, but leaked reports from the 1990s described organic matter of unknown origin retrieved from the drilling core. Whether it was a new form of life or something far older, the truth remains buried under 2 miles of ice and silence. Number 2. In 1982, a team of Soviet military divers was training in the icy waters of Lake Baikal, the deepest lake on Earth. At a depth of 50 meters, they reported seeing something impossible, human-shaped figures swimming beside them, without oxygen tanks or diving gear. The beings were described as tall, silver-skinned, and fast, moving effortlessly through the freezing water. When the divers tried to capture one in a net, a powerful force threw all 7 men to the surface in seconds. 3 of them died from explosive decompression. The survivors were placed under strict orders of silence, and all official documents were classified. Decades later, declassified fragments revealed the operation's codename, the Swimmers. Some believe they encountered an undiscovered species. Others think it was something far older, guardians of a world beneath the lake. Even now, Russian divers report strange lights moving below the ice, as if those same beings still patrol the depths of Baikal. From the deserts of Australia to the frozen edges of Antarctica, we've seen explorers vanish into places that defy reason. Leichhardt lost to the dunes, Fawcett swallowed by the jungle, Franklin and his men frozen beneath the ice. We've heard of curses buried in tombs, creatures guarding the depths, and shadows that move when no one's there. But among all these stories, one stands apart: a valley where explorers were found mutilated, decapitated, and where no one dares to camp at night. Number 1. Deep within Canada's Northwest Territories lies Nahanni Valley, a remote canyon carved by icy rivers and surrounded by jagged cliffs. Explorers once called it the Valley of Gold, but over time, it earned another name: the Valley of the Headless Men. In 1908, 2 prospectors entered the valley in search of riches. Only their decapitated bodies were ever found. Over the next decades, dozens more vanished or were discovered mutilated in the same way. Tents slashed open, rifles untouched, and no footprints leading away. Local Dene tribes spoke of giant spirits guarding the valley, ancient protectors that punish intruders. Others claimed to see glowing eyes in the fog and hear deep growls echoing through the cliffs at night. Police investigations found no answers, no tracks, no signs of struggle, and no heads. Today, pilots still refuse to fly low over Nahanni. The few who have say the wind changes there, as if the valley itself is alive, watching. A place of gold, legends, and something that never wanted to be found.